Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Shirelli, and with me today is Tyler Hill.
How's it going?
We're going to take you guys on a little EVA with us. We did an EVA on October 16th, just the other day, and it's a sample return mission. So Tyler, why don't you tell us what we're loading up in here?
Sure. What this is illustrating the preparatory work that we did for the sample collection EVA. John just showed some flags that we made to mark the sites that we had noticed yesterday, or the day before, during a survey EVA, as well as my field notebook that I kind of cobbled together, a rough map of the area, and a compass right there on the table that we'll actually get into a little bit later. What I'm doing right now is collecting some sample tubes. The larger sample containers that are in there for rock samples, and these other tubes that I'm going to put in there right now are for sediment samples. So in case we see any interesting regolith formations, we can go ahead and take a sample of that.
Something we missed in the survey, maybe.
Right. What I'm showing you right now is a container that houses a magnet and a streak plate right there, and that's used to determine if the samples that we're looking at are magnetic, as well as how hard they are, whether or not they leave a mark on that plate.
Alright, so we're going to hop on over to the rover now, where I'm going to show you guys how I get into a spacesuit from inside of the rover. I've got these tight yoga clothes on. The material inside the spacesuit's a little clingy, so it's important to minimize that as most we can. So I use the pull-up bar, lift myself up, lower myself into the suit, and I wiggle my feet all the way to the bottom until they're in. That bag I have around my shoulders and near my lower back, it's actually got a battery in it, which I'll plug into that external fan, or that internal fan, which will blow air in and create a little pressurized environment for me. So I just told ground control with a thumbs up that I got my feet in there, and I'm just going to zip it up afterwards. I'm going to have Tyler actually assist me with that. It's a little bit easier with a second person there. And then I'm going to wiggle my arms through and get it all working. I'll check my comms, make sure they can hear me, and if everything's good, I will undock through a lever.
And that is how we undock a spacesuit.
So now that I've undocked myself, Tyler and I are going to go ahead and head on over to the survey site, where you're going to see me blast off into the background. I'm actually going to go mark the sites with the flags that we have made, and I'm going to send back coordinates to Tim, who will pop up on the screen in a second here. He's actually got eyes on the field through Macho, that little rover on the left hand side. He's controlling them with that remote control, and he can see through that little TV there.
And right about now you should see me pop into the screen right there. I've just worked my way into the spacesuit. I'm getting my arms and hands situated inside the sleeves and the gloves of it. And in a second here I will undock from the back of the rover. Ground control, you can see they're spotting me as I undock from the back. And that's just because the suits are actually leaned a little bit far forward. And they're there to make sure that we don't fall as we get off the back of the rover. Another piece of preparatory work that we did that I would like to mention was familiarizing ourselves with field geology techniques as well as the equipment that we were given. I personally did some research as well as consulted my younger brother Kyle, who is studying to be a geologist right now in Colorado, and he has about a year of field experience, so he was a fantastic resource to consult on things like the compass that I'm about to explain right now. So this is a Brunton compass, special compass used for field geology. It measures strike and dip, and strike is just the orientation of a rock face with respect to magnetic north. So what you'll do is you'll line this edge here flat up against the surface that you're trying to measure, and so like if my hand is the surface, then I just move this around until that bullseye level is in the middle there, and then I read the compass heading that's though indicated by the white arrow. So we have about 170 degrees right there. And then the dip is the angle which the rock face sets. So if the my hand is again the rock face. What I'll do is I'll set the compass on the rock face like this, and then there's a lever back here, and it manipulates this level up front here. So what I'll do is get it so the bubble is right in the middle there, about there, and then I read the tick mark that's at the bottom. So you can see that there's a tick mark down there, and it's just shy of 60 degrees. This swing arm down here, you can see it if I move this like this. You measure what that middle mark lands on, and that'll give you the degree from a reference plane that the rock formation is kind of sticking out of the ground. And this is primarily just used for large rock formations, so we'll kind of assess the areas of interest that we come across. If it looks like they're deposited by like glacial deposits or some other kind of weathering technique, then that's not really necessary. Dip and strike aren't really necessary, but if it's jagged rocks, they look like they're coming out of the ground, then we'll do that, because then it'll provide kind of an insight as to what the geologic profile of the ground looks like.
Okay, so what you're seeing now is a GoPro view in the bottom left corner there. I've got that strapped around my chest, and it's supposed to give everyone a bit of an astronaut's eye view of what we're seeing, and we're actually taking measurements of the rocks on Site B here.
Right, and the reason that we are doing that is because we've already gone through a bit of the field process here that we also used at Site A. When we approach a site, we relay a general description of it back to Capcom, and we also identify objects of interest, and those can be anything from rocks that vary by color from the background rocks, or shape, texture, anything to suggest that they are out of place, and ergo they are of interest. After we've identified the samples or the subjects that we would like to take a closer look at, we take measurements of them, which is what you're seeing here, and after that we would actually break off pieces, which is what you'll see happen later in the video, and we would take those pieces, we test them further, and then we would bring the entire sample back to the lab that we have in the habitat.
So yeah, I also have a notebook out there where I'm trying to write things down. It's a little bit more difficult in the spacesuit, but it's just trying to do something. And in a second here, you're going to see the camera fall because it was such a terribly windy day, and that's a good time to switch on over to Site C. Alright, so here we are at Site C, and we've got a rock hammer out now, and I'm actually going to start breaking these rocks in half. And why do I do that, Tyler?
Well, just like at Site B and Site A, where we had identified subjects of interests, or rocks that we would like to take samples of, part of the process here that John will show in a second after he breaks these rocks open is we have to determine, well, we kind of have to narrow down the material that we're working with, and so one of the techniques to do that is using a streak plate, which you see right now, or you see John using right now. What you do is you break open a rock, and then using the fresh surface that you just exposed, you rub that against the streak plate. If it leaves a mark, then it's softer than the plate. Now, the plate itself is made of porcelain, which registers a 7 on the Morse scale, and for reference, diamond registers a 10. If the rock leaves a mark on the plate, then it is softer than a 7. It's lower than a 7, it's softer than porcelain. If it doesn't leave a mark, which I don't believe any of these samples at Site B did, then it's a higher than a 7 on the Morse scale, and it's harder than porcelain. This is a little bit in contrast, or it's a little bit different than what we encountered at Site A. Both of those rock types at Site A left marks on the streak plate there.
Yeah, and those rocks at Site A, they were all red rock, and they varied in sizes from larger ones to smaller, more porous rocks. And Site B, the rocks were a little bit more scattered all about, and there were different colors. And we actually found a life rock there, which we didn't break open. We just put it in a Ziploc, and we're going to bring it back to the lab for study. And here at Site C, it was just all black rocks with one large white rock, which I'm about to smash open, and it was a little bit softer, so it did so a little bit easier. So what everybody might be thinking is, why are we trying to do this out on the field in these big clunky spacesuits? Well, this is more of a simulation, and we're just trying to show that we can do this out there if we need to. In reality, we would like to actually just grab these samples, bring them back, and be able to use our bodies without the spacesuits. And because these things are clunky, and we're definitely sweating in there, and it's really hot.
Right. When you're inside of a spacesuit, it's mainly the thick gloves and those rubber tips on the fingertips that you can see through the GoPro and the other camera. Those make accomplishing everyday simple tasks a chore. They take away your tactility, so you can't really feel anything, and they make it really difficult to flex and extend your fingers.
Alright, so what we see here is I'm going to take some pictures of Tyler as he gets back into the rover through the spacesuit, and it's a little bit tough stepping back onto something you can't see, so the ground control gives them a little push up there, and they lock them in and make sure everything's good. And then what do you do next, Tyler?
Well, after ground control has locked me in there, I'm actually going to slide my hands and arms out of the spacesuit and undo the zipper that closes the backpack over my back. And once I get that open, I'll unhook my battery and then use that same pull-up bar that John did to get into the spacesuit. I'll use that to pull myself out. And what you'll actually see in a few minutes here is ground control will have to actually hold the boots of the spacesuit down against the footboard there, because as John mentioned, the liner of these spacesuits is a rubber material and it tends to cling to your clothes. Wearing those spandex style clothes, well, it helps, but you still need assistance. Someone has to hold those boots onto the ground.
Yeah, so I'm not actually going to dock into the rover just yet. We've got some larger items with us that I need to walk back to the habitat, but I will be loading up the sample return box right now with a Pelican case. This Pelican case holds a few emergency items that we have, such as the GPS. It's got a rope in case we lose eyesight comms. It's got some patching tools. Sometimes Mission Control will run a simulation and say, hey, you've got a depressurization in your suit. Fix it. And between the two of us, or even the one of us who is out there, they'll have the Pelican case. We got to find the hole. We got to put the patch on and make sure everything works. If not, we gotta get back to that rover quickly and get back in there. But you can see this sample return case here, or sample return box. I'm going to open it up, stick in the Pelican case with the handle facing upwards. I'm going to close it, seal it, and over comms I'm going to go ahead and let Tyler know that it's sealed from the outside so he can open it up on the inside. Once he does that, he's going to remove it, seal it up on the inside, let me know. I'm going to come back here with Macho, which was what Tim was running this entire mission. And once I get the all clear, I'm going to open up the sample box here, squeeze Macho in. Macho was designed by Chris Follett, a student here at UND Space Studies, master's student. So it was nice that he let us use it. But yeah, seal it up. Alright, so now you see us blasting over to the tunnel side. I'm throwing those larger objects into the tunnel here. And here comes Tyler. He's pulling up on the rover.
Alright, so docking the rover with the habitat can be a little bit tricky. It's very tough to get a sense of where your wheels are and kind of where the walls of the vehicle are. And so I have John here. He's standing out front. He's giving me hand signals. You can see that through the GoPro. And he's sort of kind of telling me how to line the rover up here. Once we get a parking position that looks like it's viable, I go ahead and radio Capcom and tell them to move the docking port, which has the actuators on it there, forward against the rover, and you can see it moving there. And when we have a good seal, like we do there, then we go ahead and radio the all clear, and we can freely move between the rover and the habitat at that point.
Alright, so you see Tyler in the corner there. We're going to flip over to his view, and we're going to show how I exit the suit into the rover from the outside, but showing from the inside. And I forgot the GoPro on there, but ground control is going to help me take that off and throw that in the sample return box for us. But as soon as we exit the our suits and we're done with the mission, we have to take our exit vitals. It's one of the studies we're doing. We have to take our pre-vitals, our blood pressure, our blood oxygen level, and we do a saliva test. And as soon as I get out of my suit and we're ready to go, Tyler and I were going to sit down and do that. And following that, we actually have to clean the suits out a little bit. So we're going to grab some Clorox wipes and clean them out, because when we come out of these things, we are terribly sweaty. It gets hot in there, and as the weather cools down, it should get a little cooler in there, but not necessarily, because we have our own little pressurized system in there. So, alright, now you can see my hand popping out of the top there. I'm going to pull off the back plate, disconnect my battery, remove a few items, my comm unit, my radio, and then I'm going to grab onto that pull-up bar and pull myself out of the suit. And so this gives you a sense of what Tyler had to do earlier. But it's nice to be able to do it by yourself, because it gives you a sense of an ability to grab two people, go out someplace, and then both of you can hop in spacesuits. But yeah, so thanks everyone for joining us on EVA 5. Thank you, Tyler, for helping out with this commentary.
Yeah, no problem.
And we'll see everyone next time.